Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Well, today we're headed to a place that's been shrouded in secrecy and speculation for decades.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
It is. We're talking about Area 51.
Area 51. Wow. Okay, so we're going full on conspiracy theory today.
Not exactly. We're going beyond the pop culture hype.
Mm.
Think aliens and UFOs.
Right, right.
We're going to dig into declassified documents, firsthand accounts, you know, the real deal.
Okay, so cutting through the noise to get to the actual history of Area 51.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Our main source, Wikipedia.
Wikipedias.
I know, but hold on. These aren't just any Wikipedia entries. They're packed with info from declassified documents and accounts from people who were actually there.
All right, that does make it more credible, I guess.
Right. So we're going to be uncovering the origins of the base, its connection to some really iconic aircraft, like the U-2 spy plane and the F-117 Nighthawk.
A Nighthawk, the stealth fighter. Now that's cool.
It is. And of course, we can't talk about Area 51 without at least touching on those UFO sightings.
Yeah, it's kind of what the place is known for, right?
It is. But we'll get to that. First, let's set the scene, all right? Imagine the Nevada desert. Vast, desolate, perfect for hiding something the world isn't supposed to see.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. And that's where you find Area 51, officially known as Homey Airport or Groom Lake.
Homey Airport. That doesn't sound very secretive.
I know, right? It's a super secret detachment of Edwards Air Force Base, tucked away within the Nevada Test and Training Range.
So it's like a base within a base.
Exactly. And officially, its purpose has never been confirmed.
But we all kind of know what's going on there.
Exactly. It's widely understood to be a hub for developing and testing experimental aircraft and weapon systems, cutting-edge technology, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Top secret stuff.
Top secret stuff. And it all began during a time of intense global tension, the Cold War.
Ah, the Cold War, right. Lots of secrets back then.
Yeah. In 1955, the CIA needed a way to gather intelligence on the Soviet Union. They needed a spy plane that could fly higher than anything else.
Something that could evade radar detection.
Enter the U-2 spy plane.
A true icon of the Cold War.
Absolutely. But to build and test this plane, they needed a place that was both remote and super secure, right?
Makes sense. They couldn't just build it in someone's backyard.
Exactly. That's where Groom Lake came in. Perfect location. Surrounded by mountains, miles of restricted airspace, and a dry lake bed. Ideal for a landing strip.
Natural security. Smart.
Right. Kelly Johnson, the legendary engineer behind the U-2, described Groom Lake as another Edwards, recognizing its potential as a testing ground.
And they nicknamed it Paradise Ranch, too, right?
Yeah, Paradise Ranch. Though from what I've read, conditions were anything but paradise at first.
Yeah, I was going to say, Paradise doesn't exactly come to mind when I picture a top secret military base in the middle of the desert.
Not at all. It started out pretty basic, just a handful of shelters, workshops, some trailers.
Roughing it for the sake of science.
And secrecy. But the team working on the U-2, they were driven. They needed to create something truly groundbreaking.
And they succeeded. The U-2 became a crucial intelligence tool for the U.S. during the Cold War.
Totally. But the success of the U-2, it just led to even bigger ambitions. The CIA then launched Project OXCART to develop an even faster spy plane, the A-12.
The A-12, precursor to the SR-71 Blackbird.
Exactly. And to handle this new program, Area 51 had to expand.
Of course, they needed more space for a plane like that.
They built a 10,000-foot runway, more hangars, housing, the works. They significantly ramped up security, too. Think about it. They were essentially building a secret city in the middle of the desert.
Wow, a secret city dedicated to pushing the limits of aviation technology.
I know, right? And to keep things extra secretive, they even created this bizarre spiral pattern on the lake bed called the hook.
The hook? What was that for?
It was a visual marker for pilots who had to abort a landing. Imagine that. You're flying this top-secret experimental aircraft, and suddenly you have to swerve into this giant spiral on the desert floor.
Yeah, talk about a stressful day at the office.
Right. And speaking of stressful, we can't forget about the D-21 tagboard program.
I've read about that, the high-speed, high-altitude drone, right?
Yeah, and it was originally launched from the back of a modified A-12 called the M21.
Didn't that program have a pretty tragic accident?
Unfortunately, yes. There was a terrible accident during one of those M21 launches. The aircraft was lost, and sadly, so was a crew member.
It's a stark reminder that pushing the boundaries of technology can come at a high cost.
Absolutely. They did eventually modify the drone to be launched from a B-52 bomber, but the program was eventually canceled. Satellite technology was just becoming more viable at that point.
So another Area 51 project, bites the dust.
It makes you wonder how many other stories, triumphs, and tragedies are hidden within the walls of Area 51. Things we may never know about.
Probably a lot more than we can even imagine.
But here's another twist. Area 51 wasn't just about developing American technology. They also had these super-secret HAV programs.
Have programs. What were those about?
They were testing captured Soviet aircraft.
Whoa, so they were flying enemy planes in the Nevada desert?
Exactly, like having the enemy's playbook right in your hands.
That's incredible. Why would they do that?
Well, these HAV programs were crucial during the Cold War. By understanding how Soviet aircraft like the MiG-21 and MiG-17 performed, the U.S. could train their pilots more effectively and develop tactics to counter them.
It's all about knowing your enemy, right? Their strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. It was a time when the threat of nuclear war loomed large, so every advantage mattered.
High stakes.
High stakes indeed.
Oh.
It's crazy to think they were staging these top-secret dogfights, pitting American pilots against Soviet technology, all in the middle of the Nevada desert.
Sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, doesn't it? And there are some incredible stories from these programs, like the one about Doc Townsend, a Navy pilot who consistently outmaneuvered the MiG-21 during these tests.
Doc Townsend. I haven't heard that story before.
He was a skilled pilot. But it just goes to show the importance of those programs, you know. It wasn't just about flying the aircraft. It was about understanding its capability.
Knowing how to exploit its weaknesses.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And this constant innovation and adaptation at Area 51, it led to one of its most significant legacies, the birth of stealth technology.
Stealth technology. Now that's where things get really interesting. We're talking about making aircraft practically invisible to radar.
I know, right? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction. Stealth technology. So did they actually figure out how to make aircraft invisible?
Well, not completely invisible, but pretty close. The goal of stealth tech is to reduce an aircraft's radar signature, making it harder to detect.
Ah, so more like making it harder to see, not completely invisible.
Exactly. And Area 51, well, it played a huge role in making that a reality.
So how'd they go from those high-flying spy planes to stealth? Like, how'd that happen?
It all started with this super secret project called Have Blue back in the 70s.
A half blue. Okay.
The whole point was to prove that a stealth aircraft, it was possible.
And where did they test these radical new designs? I bet I can guess.
Yep, Area 51.
Figures. I bet it was wild to see those first Have Blue prototypes. What did they even look like?
They were designed to deflect radar waves, right? So pretty angular, almost like flying geometric puzzles. Super weird looking.
Not your sleek, typical fighter jets.
Definitely not.
And the team working on this, they had a pretty cool name, the Baja Scorpions.
The Baja Scorpions, that's awesome.
Right. Imagine being on that team knowing you're working on something that's going to change everything.
Yeah, at the forefront of aviation history.
Totally. And their work on Have Blue directly led to the F-117 Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth aircraft.
The Nighthawk.
And where did the first prototype arrive? To start testing.
Area 51. Just a few months later, the YF-117A, that was the prototype, made its first flight from Groom Lake.
That's a pretty big deal, right? A new era of air warfare beginning right there.
Huge.
But as the program grew, they needed more space. Even Area 51 wasn't big enough for this anymore.
Yeah, I guess even Area 51 has its limits.
Right. They moved the F-117 program to Tonopah Test Range Airport, another super-secret facility in Nevada.
Okay, so another secret base.
But Area 51, it was the proving ground, right? The birthplace.
The heart of the development, for sure.
But there was always something new happening there, wasn't there? Even with the F-117 program taking off.
Oh yeah, Area 51, they never stopped pushing the boundaries, like the Tacit Blue program.
Tacit Blue, what was that all about?
It was another stealth technology demonstrator, but this one, well, it was a bit different.
Different how?
Some described it as looking like, well, a flying whale.
A flying whale? Were they trying to hide it in the ocean or something?
Not quite. The shape, it was all about reducing that radar signature again, but in a totally new way. A real experiment.
It's like a stepping stone for even more advanced stealth designs.
Exactly. And that's what Area 51 is. Really, it's a place where crazy ideas, seemingly impossible, become possible.
Okay, so U-2 A-12 F-117, a flying whale. But there's one thing we haven't talked about yet, and it's kind of what Area 51 is known for.
UFOs.
You got it. We can't talk about Area 51 and not talk about aliens and all those conspiracy theories.
That's practically synonymous with the place.
Right. So are we talking little green men and Crashed spaceships?
Well, no, not exactly. The reality is a little more grounded, but still fascinating.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Remember those U-2 and A-12 flights back in the day? They were flying higher than anyone had ever seen before.
Yeah, super high altitude stuff.
People were seeing these bright metallic things zipping across the sky, and they had no idea what they were.
So what they thought were alien spaceships, they were actually just American spy planes.
Bingo! Mistaken identity. I mean, think about it. You see something you've never seen before in the sky, your mind's going to go to the most extraordinary explanation.
And the government secrecy, well, that probably didn't help.
Not at all. The more they tried to hide things, the more those theories spread.
So Area 51 becomes the poster child for all things extraterrestrial. I mean, we've all heard those stories about Bob Lazar and reverse engineering alien tech. And who could forget Storm Area 51?
Remember that. People were actually planning to raid the base.
It's wild how real history, technology, and wild theories all get mixed up together.
It's hard to separate fact from fiction sometimes.
It is, but that's what makes Area 51 so fascinating. So what about Area 51 today? I mean, what's happening there now?
Well, that's where things get even more mysterious.
More mysterious. But we have satellites, the internet, all that. You'd think we'd know more.
You'd think so, right? It really is a paradox. The more we learn about Area 51, the more we realize we don't know a thing.
It's true. We might have uncovered some cool stuff today. But the true scope, it's probably beyond our wildest imaginations.
Exactly. We do know that it's still very much active.
Oh, definitely still active, more secretive than ever.
It's expanded. Big time. They've got increased security, bigger restricted airspace.
And it's still all about developing and testing these cutting-edge technologies.
Oh, yeah. Pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Makes you think back to that environmental lawsuit.
The one with those workers.
Yeah, claiming exposure to some pretty nasty chemicals at Area 51.
And the government. They invoked that state secrets privilege.
They sure did, to keep everything under wraps.
Basically saying that any details about Area 51 could compromise national security, even if it involved a potential health hazard.
It's unsettling, right? Makes you wonder where the line is.
Between national security and the public's right to know.
Exactly. What justifies operating outside, normal legal and environmental scrutiny?
That's a tough question.
It is. And there are no easy answers.
It really makes you think, what are the consequences of all this secrecy?
Especially if it means potential harm to people.
It's an ongoing debate. Area 51 often finds itself at the center of.
It's not always so serious, though. We do get these little glimpses behind the curtain every now and then.
Like that Homey Airport incident.
Exactly, back in 2007.
Popping up in pilots' databases.
Area 51 just out in the open.
Probably an accident. But hey, we got a peek.
It's a reminder that even with all that digital security, mistakes can happen.
And sometimes those mistakes, they reveal more than intended.
So much for keeping things secret.
Well, they try.
They do. So we started with the U-2.
Then the A-12, the F-117, stealth tech.
Soviet MiGs, UFOs. What's the big takeaway after this deep dive into Area 51?
For me, it's a testament to human ingenuity, our drive to push the limits.
It's captured our imagination for decades, and it's not just about aliens and secret projects, right?
It's about us. It's about our potential and the lengths we'll go to explore the unknown.
It's a reminder of that tension between secrecy and progress, national security, and what the public has a right to know.
We've learned a lot today. But the real extent of what happens at Area 51, that's probably still out there.
It's true. What new technologies are being developed? What boundaries are being pushed? We may never have those answers.
That mystery, that's what keeps Area 51 so captivating.
It's a place where facts meet fiction, and the known collides with the unknown.
Our curiosity, that's what drives us, to explore, to uncover, to understand.
So keep looking up, keep asking questions, and who knows what you might find.
The truth is out there somewhere.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.